Hey guys, we're here today to talk about New World, and specifically 10 small details or features that I really liked from the closed beta, and that I think made the game feel unique. Number 1 on this list is their quest tracker. There's nothing too flashy or groundbreaking with having a quest tracker in general, but New World did a very good job setting theirs apart and making it very fluid and smooth. First off, they gave different icons to the different style of quests. Between main story quests, side missions, faction missions, and town board quests, they all had a slightly different logo, so you could easily identify in your quest tracker what kind of mission it was. But the absolute best part about their quest tracker was the fact that when I enter an area for a particular quest, it highlighted in yellow and flashed showing me that I had entered that area. This took away any questioning whether or not I was in the right area or which quest I was trying to do at the moment. All I had to do was look up the quest tracker, and you can easily tell which one you're trying to do at the moment, and easily check to make sure you hadn't ventured too far outside the location. The second thing that I really liked from New World seems like such a minor thing, and maybe it is for some people, but loot drops. As someone who's coming from Final Fantasy XIV for a long time, it's really nice to see loot dropping in a game again. Obviously this happens in Guild Wars 2 and ESO, but most of every drop in those games don't really matter a whole lot, and I can't say for sure that New Worlds will towards the end of the game. But at least during the early leveling experience, all the items that dropped could be an upgrade for me. It was nice to be able to unlock weapons and try out new weapons before the quest gave them to you or before you got to a market board. And even though the faction gear was a little bit overpowered at each stage, even being fully equipped in that, I was able to loot different items that were actually upgrades to them every now and then. Number 3 was their nameplates. New World has a slider on how they display nameplates and how many are displayed on your screen. The best part about this is being able to set it low, and the fact that New World displays nameplates when your cursor is near an enemy or a player. This allowed me to have only 2 nameplates popping up whenever I'm trying to essentially target something, and not have my whole screen littered with nameplates. It was a very smooth transition, it was a cool targeting system, and allowed you to quickly and easily identify players in PvP without being a huge mess inside of towns. Number 4 was area level. The more time you spent in a certain territory or area, the more you leveled up in it. It gave you incentive to find a home city or a hometown, and actually spend time there. The different bonuses you unlock, while minor, did help in certain areas, making it to where if you were looking at getting iron or hunting some wood or skinning animals, you wanted to go somewhere you were comfortable and leveled high in. That way you had a higher gathering bonus speed. Increasing storage spaces obviously gives you a really hometown feel, allowing you to hold a lot of stuff there since you can't travel with a ton of things. And overall, I enjoyed the attachment to a particular settlement. Number 5 is their health regen system. I like that they brought in some light survival game elements by making it where your health doesn't regen whenever you are not fed. This made cooking a much more integral part of the game and more important than in other MMOs. It also makes camps really important when you are low on food and you need to just rest to build up your hit points. Kind of brings back the feel of camping mobs in an old MMORPG like EverQuest, where you would sit at one spot and then pull mobs from a camp over and over. Not that you're necessarily doing that in New World, but sitting at a camp to rest and relax for a moment is something that doesn't happen in MMOs these days, where you kind of take a minute and aren't running all over the place. It also opens up the opportunity to grind some mobs and fight the same mobs over and over, and have a camp to go rest at, all because your health regen is tied to that. You need to have good food on you to health regen, and if you're low on food at the moment or not interested in spending some, you have the option to head to a camp, sit down, and relax. The 6th thing that I really liked was their armor and shield weight system. I like the idea of the weight classes being based off of actual weight as opposed to how many pieces you're wearing of the armor. It was cool to be able to adjust this through having a shield on, or equipping different pieces of heavy, medium, or light to kind of create the mix and match you like. I do think that there are flaws in this system, and there's no incentive to wear all 5 light, or to use a shield outside of being sword and shield. But I do like the foundation of what they're going for and think it's a cool system. I've seen a lot of suggestions on this, and there are some pretty cool ideas out there. I do like the idea that maybe a shield on your back could lower backstab damage or critical hit damage on you to give you a reason to put it on, even if you're not using a sword and shield. They could give you the bonuses they currently do for light, medium, or heavy in the weight classes like the dodge roll and the damage, or they could just tie dodge rolling to the weight class and then have each individual piece of light armor give you a bonus to your damage, and each individual piece of heavy give you block stability and crowd control debuff duration. Number 7 is their Debuff VFX. This one took me a minute to notice, but it was really cool once I did. When you're bled, there's a noticeable effect on your character. Same with being rended, or the way you gain that white or yellowy glow whenever you're gaining grit. This is a subtle way to show debuff effects like bleed or rend without having to check for an icon on the target bar all the time. You can very clearly see when you're bleeding or when the enemy is rended with just these subtle glows. The 8th thing that I really liked in the game was the mixed biomes. Every territory had this mix of highlands, grasslands, forest, farmland, whatever it was, all mixed throughout the zone. It was nice that it wasn't all centralized to one area, and this entire territory was all highland. They had little spurts here and there, little mounds or hills that you could find iron in between a forest or grassland. It really made the terrain feel lively and kept the world looking really beautiful. The other really good part about it is that no matter where you're running or where you're going, you have a shot of finding that resource that you want to get, like iron or oraculum or one of the Azoth-infused trees or whatever it might be. No matter where you're headed or where you are, there's a shot that you might see what you need because of the mixed biomes spread throughout the world. The ninth thing that I really liked was landmarks. Each territory was spread out with certain landmarks, like a farm or a mine, a wolf cave, whatever it might be, and these landmarks were a really centralized location where monsters would be. There are two specific things I really liked about the landmarks. The first one being that there wasn't a linear level curve on them, and you would go from one landmark to the other in a certain order or moving out from the city. They were really mixed up, and you could find a level 20 landmark right next to the city and a level 5 one far away, and vice versa. As far as PvP goes, this means you could be running through higher level areas and have to watch yourself, or be a little more sneaky, and also means you can't just click auto run and run through whatever it is because it's all low level. Sometimes you can run into something higher than you if you don't know the area. The second thing that I really liked about the landmarks is the fact that there were not mobs spread throughout the entire game world. One of the most annoying things about playing an MMORPG is no matter where you're running, all the time there are monsters everywhere. You have to dodge and weave just to run down to the little pond and start fishing. To go this resource, you gotta make sure you kill 4 mobs because they're all spawning right next to it. In New World, it felt a lot more peaceful moving through the game because you could find a wolf or a cougar every now and then, but in general, all the mobs were centralized around these landmark locations. You would come to almost a hotspot or a camp of mobs as opposed to them being spread throughout the entire world. It allowed room for people to have skirmishes and PvP. It allowed space to be able to put camps down wherever you'd like and have a relaxing area, or to go harvest without a mob attacking you every few seconds. It just gave a more peaceful, relaxing, and roomy feel to the entire world, and whenever you got to a landmark with a lot of mobs at it, you knew you were ready for combat, and it felt like it was even more active and more action-packed than finding them littered throughout the entire open world. And the 10th thing that I really liked about New World's closed beta was the fact that you keep your harvesting progress. If you do a lot of gathering in any game, every time you start gathering, mining, chopping wood, whatever it might be, if a monster attacks you during it, it will knock you out of the gathering process. You can kill the mob, and when you go back, I gotta redo the entire process. New World saved your overall progress through chopping a tree, and when you got attacked, if you were halfway done after you kill the mob and go back, you were halfway done, and it saved that progress. I don't know to what extent it saves it and how long it'll keep the memory of where you were at in that harvesting process, but it was really nice to see that I didn't have to restart the entire thing. Especially since harvesting a New World can take quite a bit of time if you're not skilled very high, don't have good tools, or don't have very high territory standing in that area. Alright guys, that was 10 things that I really liked about the New World closed beta. Why don't you guys hop down in the comments and let me know about a couple small details or features that you really enjoyed from the game, or you think they did a really good job making unique. Hopefully this video was entertaining for you. I appreciate you joining me, and I will see you next time.